Terceiro dia, finalizando o evento, estou aqui com Jason Della Rocca, que ontem falou um pouquinho sobre o grande tema do evento, está sendo convergência. Jason, I was telling to our people, to people who is listening to us, about your theme of your keynote.
Okay.
It was convergence, you know. And so I wanted you to make a resume about your keynote from yesterday. Can you?
I'll try. I mean, a resume of 1 hour. Let's see. I gave some high-level trends in terms of changing audience and demographics of game players. So it's not just hardcore gamers and casual. It's more diverse. Talked about able to collect metrics and data in real time of who's playing and what and how. Talked a bit about sort of the shift in demand in terms of the old the older consoles and sort of the drive for raw computing power versus now something more directed towards design. We see the sort of the sales difference between Wii and DS and the other consoles. Talked a bit about the innovator's dilemma, which is the inability to change like what you're doing now to succeed to the things you need to do tomorrow to succeed, because you're overly optimized to do the things of today, and so you can't kind of make that jump. And then I commented how Brazil doesn't have to make the jump because they can start on the new stuff. They don't have to necessarily worry about the legacy. So I think that was sort of the overall trend. And then the risk dynamics of new business models. So previously you'd spend all of your money, then you would launch the game, and then hope to make money, but you never knew. You just didn't know.
Yeah.
Whereas now what's happening with online and real-time consumer data is you can spend a little bit of money, release in beta, and start making money online. And then, if you make money, then you can spend more money to develop, more of the game out of beta and so on. And you can sort of adjust. So the risk sort of shift. So I talked about those kind of overall big picture trends, and then discussed a bit about the kind of collaboration to build industry in a particular country or region, how tight collaboration between industry, government, and academia, and all the things that need to sort of happen in that sort of circle or cycle. And then I gave a bunch of examples of how governments have been, sort of incentivized or catalyzed the game industry in terms of tax breaks and prototype funding and support for training and doing business development and missions and promotion of industry and incubators and academic mentorship and all of that kind of stuff.
Yesterday on the round table about public politician to our game developers industry, you said that sometimes governments thinks of helping people, and so they are bothering, they are blocking the growing of some industry because of some of the applications of money and tax breaks are in wrong place.
Right.
Can you talk a little more about that?
Yeah. Let's see. So in some cases, governments actively work against the industry where they don't like games, and so they try to regulate and censor and control and limit. So that does happen in some places. In other cases, the government likes games and they want to help, but they don't really understand how the industry works or the production process. And so what they try to do, maybe they try to do the same things they did for, I don't know, the engineering industry or aerospace or pharmaceutical, and it doesn't work in games. And so they're spending resources, but because they don't really understand, there's not a lot of progress is made. And then sometimes they get bored or they're disappointed with the results, so then they stop providing support, which is an unfortunate situation. And then in other cases, you have governments that obviously like games, and they take the time to partner with industry and academia and understand how things work, and they sort of do smart interventions. And when that happens, then we see, good growth happening, of course, because they've taken the time to sort of analyze and understand.
Jason, you said that we have new business models on games. And on Brazil, we have a problem of money to make on preview model of you have to invest in all the funds on preview and so on. You perhaps can make money on that.
Yeah.
And I think that these new models can help Brazil. Don't you think this way?
Yeah. Yeah, well, absolutely. That's why I brought that up. I mean, if you look at Korea, 10, 15 years ago there was no industry there. It was all black market piracy. There was no development happening, and then they jumped over the whole sort of retail space and consoles and so on. They went online through the game cafes and subscription model. Now the free-to-play model where the games are completely free and the money is made through microtransaction item sales. And 10 years later, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Business model completely different than what you see in the Western or American world. But yeah, I mean, it worked for them. I'm not saying Brazil should do the exact same thing, but there are alternatives and sort of smart ways to go about it that you can kind of get around the issues that exist today. So Korea is a good example.
Jason, what counsel can you give to people who want to work and to have a great career like you did on game development, or better, on the game industry?
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's a balance between technical skill and what you would call soft skills. So you have to be talented and good at what you do, whether it's art or design or programming or management. Like, you have to have those technical, very specific skills. But at the same time, you have to have very good soft skills. You have to have good communication ability. You need to, have good teamwork and the ability to collaborate with other people. You need to be constantly learning and be sort of humble and always want to learn and understand more. That if you're an expert programmer, well, you need to take time to also understand the art and the business and the management. Like, you need to be deep and you need to be broad at the same time. And a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people go, well, I'm going to be a programmer, and all they care about and all they pay attention to is the programming. It means they're a very good programmer, but on the whole, from a career potential and their value to the industry, it's less than if they also kind of understood all the other aspects. And Brazil is certainly at risk for that, where everyone's focused on the programming or the design, and they don't see the business, they don't see the economic trends, they don't see sort of design changes that are occurring in the marketplace because they're so focused on, let's say, programming. So you need to be sort of deep but also broad.
Jason, thank you for your interview.
Sure.